What is up, my people? JaxB.TheRipper here. Why did I not sound that excited? Probably because I filmed this intro like maybe 3 or 4 times. Anyways, if you guys are new here, welcome. This series is called About the Band. Basically, I'm either matching my shirt or the album. It's an idea I thought about like almost 2 years ago, I think. I was just, at that time it was called Metal and Makeup, and I just decided finally just, I should probably talk about the bands or like anything, any kind of story when it comes to this. So, in this time, I did do a part 1 of the Misfits, but that was mainly with Danzig. In fact, I should probably rewatch that before I do the voiceover. But primarily we're going to be talking about Michael Graves. Famous Monsters was the first album I've heard, and it was probably my favorite of all time. Anything with Michael Graves, I love Danzig, don't get me wrong, and I loved him with the original because this is right here, the original Misfits, with the original lineup, but Michael Graves just takes it. I just fucking love him. So we're gonna do a little research on him, get into it while we're doing my makeup, and yeah, it's just as simple as that. Like, I love, like, who doesn't like story times about their favorite metal bands or punk bands or any kind of rock band while they're doing their makeup? Maybe it's just me, I don't know, but you guys are watching. So anyways, let's get to it. Awkward intro. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about the Michael Graves era. So we're using the ABH Norvina palette, and these don't have shade names, so just look at the numbers and yeah, let's get to it. And I already primed my eyes, so yeah. Anyways, the Michael Graves, or Michale, however you would like to pronounce his name, because one guy who was interviewing him kept calling him Michale, so I've been wondering, have I been saying his name wrong all this time? So Michael was born March 21st, 1975 in New Jersey, and he originally wanted to be a pastor. He knew he wanted to do something that was really motivate other people, I should say. He said that his music interest really peaked more when he would go into New York City every holiday season, and when the first time he saw homeless people. So that really inspired him to write a song called Mostly Alone. So even though his family members always played music, it wasn't until that day that originally inspired him to like get in more into music. He grew up with a family that was really motivated to whatever he wanted to do, and his father always said that, we don't have to worry about this kid because he's going to be a successful artist, and Michael overheard that, so he's always been pretty confident that he will succeed in whatever he wanted to do. So he really does say a lot in some of his interviews that, yeah, I always knew I was going to end up doing something really successful. In this look, there's going to be a lot of color mixing, so try to follow through. It's really hard for me to explain what I'm doing as well as explaining the story. So we are going to do somewhat of a cut crease here just to let you know. So once Michael hit 18, he got a job pruning trees, and he was also in a band called the Mopes. I believe I said that right. He was recording a demo at this studio, and that's where he bumped into Bobby Electa, and he was helping out the Misfits at that time, reforming the band and everything, and they needed a new singer since Danzig was doing his own thing at that time. But he went ahead, and Bobby Electa, went ahead and was like, hey, go ahead and contact them and do an audition. And Michael said he must have been like 18, so he was excited and everything for the audition. And he said it literally took a year for the Misfits to finally let him know that he's in the band. And how that happened was basically they were A, B, and him, if that makes sense. Basically they put an ad, the Misfits, they put an ad saying like, they needed a singer. So they get one singer, and then get Michael again, get another singer, and then get Michael again. So it was over so many times he had the audition, and he was keeping in touch with them. And a lot of it was because at first Doyle didn't get along with him, because, they were in their 30s, the Misfits, and Michael was 19, going on 20. So obviously, like, Michael even has said, he was a punk kid, with an attitude or whatever. So obviously there's going to be, some friction right there. So Halloween was almost rolling around, and you know the Misfits wanted to do make a comeback during Halloween because it doesn't make sense for them to, I don't know, make a comeback during Christmas. So they were like, either find a singer right now, have everything set, or else wait another year. And at that time, they had gotten a call from the former agent or manager, I should say, of Typo Negative. And at that time, in New York especially, the alternative scene was really big, and the Typo Negative needed a band to open for them. And so, therefore, their manager, Ken Creedy, called up the Misfits and were like, hey, do you want to open up? And the Misfits were like, well, we don't have a lead singer. Can Pete Steele, sing for us? And Pete agreed, but the thing is, Pete doesn't know the words, the lyrics, or anything. So they go ahead and call Michael Graves, and they're like, hey, can you teach Pete Steele how to sing the lyrics and everything? And he was like, sure. And a lot of people will probably be pissed, like, oh, that should be me up there, I've been auditioning, just be petty about it, or be rightfully upset. But no, he didn't. He just saw it as another working opportunity, getting to know people. And of course he wanted to meet Pete Steele because he was a big fan of his, and Typo Negative was really huge, especially at that time. So he was like, I'm down. So he goes in to the studio where Typo Negative rehearses, and Pete Steele basically stopped them and told the Misfits, it's like, that's your singer right there. Like, that is your singer right there. You don't need me. You need him. And that's when they just finally were like, you know what? Let's do this. Let's just have him in the band. But it wasn't even like a warm welcome or anything. They just did. It was like, yeah, here. Yeah, you're in. That's it. No handshake, no nothing. So, and Michael Graves has said, like, he didn't know anything about like the business side of the music industry. He said he felt like an employee only throughout this time, and there was a lot of, how can I say, after doing so much research in this band, it was almost like the same thing with the Danzig era almost, but it was just a lot of petty fighting. Don't make the wing liner too thick. I know a lot of you girls or boys like to make your liner really thick, but in this case we're not going to do it because we want the lashes and the makeup to stand out more. And if you do a bold freaking wing, you're just, yeah. You don't even need to do a wing if you don't want to. I just like doing the smaller ones just so you could tell there's like a flick. It gives it more definition. And then for the black blends in with the false lashes. In case you guys could hear like music in the background, I don't know who is playing reggaeton music. It's annoying as fuck. But anyways, let us continue. So anyways, On came out with American Psycho. American Psycho had to have been really punkier, really, even people were saying that it was like a good like intro to some metal influence inside the next three albums that they would do with Graves. There's definitely a lot more angrier, probably because Graves' voice was a little bit more on the cleaner, but yet screaming type of vocals, unlike Danzig. During American Psycho, you could really tell that the band got along probably a little bit better at that time, and they really worked hard on that album, as well as they probably worked really well with Michael Graves at that time. But then in comes in like the drama, the petty drama during Famous Monsters. Apparently there was a lot of back and forth. I believe in this time, I might be wrong. I believe around this time, this is where Michael Graves took a hiatus, but then he came back. But during the time he came back, they were going to film the music video for Scream. And yeah, I know those lashes are on its last leg, and yeah, they're really like terrible. So, but if you're going to use lashes for this, don't get really bold, long lashes, because you want the makeup to stand out. You want just like fluttery false lashes. Anyways, so when they were about to film Scream, they got George Romero to film that music video, and it was a lot of hard work to get him, a lot of phone calls, a lot of, hey, can you take 2 days off
filming your next video or whatever you're doing, and then, you know, come and help us. Oh, by the way, I'm putting white eyeliner because I don't have yellow eyeliner. So the way I do this when I don't have a color in an eyeliner is I put white and then I go in with the color that I want. So I'm using yellow to try to make it look like I have yellow eyeliner on. I mean, just use yellow eyeshadow is what I'm saying. So, you know, there's a lot of planning in advance. Like, I won't be surprised it was like 6 months. But there's a lot of planning in advance to get someone as big as George Romero to do a music video or anything just for you, to stop whatever he has to do in big old Hollywood. So Michael Graves didn't show up on the first day, but supposedly, because the way this sounds, in fact, a lot of their stories sounds repetitive, and it sounds like this. I already put on the blush. I'm just showing you what I used, but because I had filmed the bass and everything beforehand because I didn't want to record so much. Anyways, so what happened was, like, supposedly Michael Graves has said many times that he wasn't told that he had to be in Canada to go film. And then when he was over there, they had all his paperwork, and he was being held up at Border Patrol in Canada, so he wasn't able to make it on time on the first day. And a lot of, you know, fans were disappointed because I guess they were meeting the band or whatever, and they really wanted to meet him. So there was a lot of petty drama going on, like, oh, well, I didn't tell him this, I didn't tell him that. And then you'll see many different interviews from many people's point of view. Like, well, Michael Graves wasn't coming to this, like, he wasn't coming to the photo shoots and blah, blah, blah. So you're going to see lots and lots. It was almost kind of like with Danzig a little bit, but I felt like this was even more pettier. So yeah, that was like probably like the really big story right there. But the album was a much more success. Yes, I'm going to show you how to do hair. No, do not learn from me because I don't know what I'm doing. But I'm just having fun with it. But anyways, the drama that's basically where it was at its peak. And the album ended up being very well, though. Even some people said this sounded like a little bit more on the thrashier side. And it had a huge success with Scream. The video was great. And then also come in Saturday Night, which is like a beautiful punk love song. So it's like, who would have thought? And mind you, I'm being a little biased because I don't really listen to punk that much. There's very few bands that I do listen to. So yeah, so it was a big success for them. And then the next album they came out with was more like it's called Cuts from the Crypt, and it was more like a collection of demos that they wanted to release with Danzig, but they didn't, obviously, with him. And it is not really one that's talked about a lot. It's okay. It's for the length of 47 minutes and 55 seconds. But it's good to have in your collection, I guess. That's all I could say about it. It wasn't necessarily my favorite. And then around this time, this is where Michael Graves just finally called it quits. It's just, he has been vocal that, you know, towards his last couple years he was with them. It just, besides the fact they were always fighting, he said he felt like he wanted to hang himself. Oh shit, look at that. Look at that, girl, look at that. That he felt like he wanted to hang himself in the tour bus, and no matter what he was getting out of it, he said he wasn't doing it for the fame. But that's just a summary right there of the Misfits, and with the Michael Graves era. Thank you all for watching, and I think I'm going to do some dumb pose at the end. But anyways, thank you all for watching. Y'all take care of your vaginas and have a wonderful day.